Hello and welcome. My name is Tim Moody. I'm the Public Information Officer with the Randolph County School System. I'm here with our Superintendent, Dr. Stephen Gainey, and we're here for our December 2015 edition of From the Desk of. Thank you again to Randolph Communications for giving us the opportunity, as we do each month, to get out in front of the community and share some of the things that are going on in our schools and in our school system. And Dr. Gainey, we had an event, I guess we can call it, earlier in the week. I wouldn't say it's good news. We talk about a lot of good news, but this was something that was a little unsettling for us, but it was big news, so let's talk about it. We had a break-in at one of our schools at Newmarket Elementary School. Some vandalism, several things were taken. Fortunately, the suspects were apprehended. But what I thought it might be worth talking about is just to give the folks in our community an idea, when we deal with a situation like that, whether it's a break-in or a bus accident or some other crisis type of situation, can you talk about the process that we go through, the impact that it has, not just on the school, but on you and its central office and some of the things that go on?
Well, Tim, whenever a safety situation of that nature comes up, like what happened Monday, first and foremost, we need to make sure we know what's going on with the children. And when things started developing Monday, buses had already rolled for the morning, and so you had a situation of when we got the information on it, we had probably parents moving towards school or beginning to bring kids towards school. So first thing you do is you want to make sure you keep things as calm as you can for the children. And so always involved in that is the staff, and everywhere I've been, and Monday was another great example. Staff members were very supportive, worked very hard to take care of the children. When the children came on campus that day, we had everybody in the gym as we worked with law enforcement. Anytime law enforcement's involved, you have to work hand in hand with them, because they have some roles and situations like that they have to take care of before we can start using the building as we normally would for school. I do want to say a big thank you to the Randolph County Sheriff's Department. This was yet another example. I've been here 2.5 years, and we get tremendous support from them. And when I arrived to the school, there were multiple law enforcement officers doing their investigation and working with us, because they knew we wanted to get the classes back in shape as quick as we could and use the ones that weren't messed up. But you do have to work hand in hand with law enforcement so they can do their job, and they did a great job. By midday, they were already solving the case, and stuff that was taken out of school was returned. And so again, a big thank you to them. But it involves, that's one of those situations when you have weather issues or any kind of safety issue, you see the real team approach come to a campus, and it extends beyond the staff. Because when I got there, I said law enforcement was there, where there were a lot of maintenance staff members there working to clean up parts of the building. We did have some windows to be replaced. So same token is informing parents, making sure kids are safe. We had staff members out in the parking lot greeting cars, letting them know that there had been a break-in. So you kind of, it starts with taking care of the kids. It involves a team effort from everybody on the campus, and we've had this with weather. We've had this with this kind of situation as well, the break-in. And then at some point, you've got to make sure parents know where you're going with the rest of the day. And so, it's not what anybody woke up Monday morning thinking they were going to deal with, but it is another example of public schools and what staff members do to take care of kids every day. The day we wound up getting a majority of the kids in class by about 9:15 to 9:30. It was a different school day, much like if you have a delay for the weather, it's a different school day. But those are the components that come to my mind. But again, I want to say thank you, big thank you to the Sheriff's Department, Randolph County Sheriff's Department. Marty Trotter, Assistant Superintendent, was very involved with his staff. Larry Chilton had staff on site. One point, Derek Clark with transportation staff was there. The child nutrition staff was ready to go with whether we were going to be able to have school or not. They were ready to respond to what the decision was made and whether we continued on with the school day, which we did. So, Larry Chilton's maintenance staff was just all over the building, cleaning up, the custodians at the school, and again, the school staff. So it really, you walk away from there saying, I wish this had not happened, but wow, look at the team approach from not only school people, but community leaders. So again, thank you to everybody involved.
Now you talk about alerting the parents, and one of the challenges we face, because we live in this world of instant communication, as you know, is word spreads very quickly when things happen. And so we have parents and others in the community who find out about things almost as quickly as we do. So in a case like this, is there a formal process, or what would be the formal process for communicating to parents? I know you talked about meeting them in the car line, but any official messaging that goes out, what does that look like?
Well, Tim, we do have a phone caller system, and we can do it multiple ways, and most people are very used to it with the weather, that's when we tend to use it more than any other time. But there's a couple of things when you use that phone call system. We can do calls to home numbers, and we also can do calls to any number we have in the system, depending on what time of day we have to use it. But here's the other piece you have to do. You have to be real careful before you send the phone message out that you have the accurate information to send out. You don't want to send multiple phone messages out, because then now you have a community that's trying to help, and you wind up maybe creating more confusion. And I'll just tell you, when I arrived on that campus that morning, I wasn't sure whether we were going to be able to have school or not based on some of the reports. So we had to see where the morning developed, and it started developing quickly because of the hard work of the Sheriff's Department to do their investigation. So I think when you start talking about the phone caller system and all, the most important items to keep in mind are you don't want to have to send multiple messages out that can become with conflicting information, and you want to make sure you have the accurate information when you send those calls.
Okay. All right, let's switch gears just a little bit here and talk about something, the events on our cultural arts calendar. Of course, now we have a calendar of events throughout the year, but as we get into the holiday season, they really ramp up, and I know you've had an opportunity to attend several events. So just talk about those. I know we have a lot of talented students in our school district. Just talk about some of the things that you see as you get out and you see the choral concerts and the band concerts and the other things that take place.
Well, when I go to these events, and it's really unbelievable what you see between the elementary students, the middle school students, and the high school students. Over the last couple of weeks, had an opportunity to see a lot of different events, and it kind of kicked off on the Tuesday before the holiday break in November. I went to an event at Liberty Elementary School and with kindergarten students, and it was great. And now I've had an opportunity to attend several elementary, several middle school, and high school events. But when you step back from it, you realize how talented these kids are. And then you come back and you say, okay, but it's not just their talent. You take another step and you look at these teachers who have helped them prepare for these events, and it's really an unbelievable moment of pride for me. I know it is for the principals. I know it is for the teachers and the parents. Just to see, what I say is public schools at their best. Kids from all over a community on one stage performing in a just excellent manner, and you have the parent group, the community group in there watching, and the kids are getting the attention they deserve. I don't think we can ever go wrong by giving kids adult attention, whether it be in that kind of setting or away from school. And so it's just exciting. It's really exciting, Tim, to see the level of talent in this school system with the kids at all levels, and then you take it back and you say, well, wait a minute, this talent has to be kind of prepared for an event like that, and then you say, whoa, we have some really talented teachers here.
And just as a footnote to that, and for the folks in our community, we do publish on our school district's website the cultural arts calendar. In fact, right there on the home page, we have a calendar tab at the top of the page. You click on that, and it's got several calendars, and the cultural arts calendar is in there, so you can keep up with all the events that are going on. Let's talk about the Board of Education meeting that we had just a couple of days ago. As always, there were a lot of things on the agenda. One of the things was the election of the board chair. So could you just talk about that?
Well, we had our annual board meeting, and it's some people refer to it as the annual board meeting and reorganization meeting. Well, we elect officers, and the board went through that process Monday night, and Mr. Cutler was reelected as the chair of the Randolph County Board of Education, and Mr. Cook was reelected as the vice chair. So they're going into year 2 in those leadership roles, and I'm really proud of our board. I'm really proud of some things we've accomplished in the last 2.5 years, and I think their anticipation of where the school system goes in the future is very positive anticipation, and as is mine. And just look forward to better days ahead. But we did handle that, as always, in the December meeting, and so now we're ready to start another year with the board.
Well, at each of our board meetings, as you know, we do awards and recognitions. It's always an exciting and fun time, I think, for all of us to be able to see our staff and our schools, and certainly the students, receive accolades for things that they've accomplished. We had a Lighthouse School nomination for Hopewell Elementary School. We had some endowment teacher grants that were handed out, funds that are generated through the golf tournament that we do each year. And then also the holiday card was designed by a student at Farmer Elementary, Carly Whitson. So just sort of some thoughts on some of the awards that we handed out Monday evening.
Well, Tim, the recognition of Hopewell Elementary School as a Lighthouse School, that was very well deserved. That is a great school. If you've never visited that school, if someone has never visited, I know you have. It's just amazing what's going on inside the walls of that school. Tremendous staff. The amount of collaboration among the staff is just unbelievable, about whether they're talking about student data or different programs or projects they're doing with the children. And all that, it comes from great leadership. I mean, Sharon Harper is a veteran principal, and she is very good, and she's been very successful everywhere she's been a principal. And when you talk to Sharon, the pride she has in that school is just, it doesn't take long for it to come out. And when you talk to her staff, it comes out immediately. They love the school. The kids love the school, and so it's just very fitting for them to be recognized. And Sharon was here Monday night along with Maria Bruce, the assistant principal who's been with Sharon for several years now at the school. And I just, you like to see that when hard work by a collective team of students, staff, and leadership at the principal and assistant principal level, when it all comes together, that's just a good feeling. You talked about the endowment grants a little bit, and that was exciting because, again, it's a chance for staff members to receive things that they've pursued to help children. And what sticks with me whenever the staff members come up to get those grants every year is it's almost like you see on their face, now I've got a grant and I can go help kids. That's what I see from the staff members that come up, and I'm always curious what they're going to use it for, and we have that information, and it's just exciting to see that play out because, we're fortunate here. The state of North Carolina is very fortunate. We have teachers and counselors and principals and clerical staff, custodians, all over this state, bus drivers, that all they want to do is help kids. Right. And that is so apparent when those staff members come up and receive those grants on that night each year. So congratulations to all the grant winners. And then the Christmas card. Can you imagine being an elementary school student? I can't, because I don't have that kind of ability, but the artistic ability. But can you imagine? Can you imagine you just did the Christmas card that went out to? I can't even right now in my mind how many cards we send out, but that is the card that represents our school system. To me, that's an amazing honor. We're proud of our system. We're proud of our kids, and very proud of when that Christmas card hits the mail, and I just can't imagine what a student, an elementary school student, gets a chance to represent the entire school system. So, very proud of that. Always look forward to that when all the artwork comes in and the decisions are made, because it's unbelievable the options when we even get to whose card is going to represent the school system.
Sure it's a difficult decision to make.
It is, but it is really unbelievable what our kids do. It goes back to your comment about the the student performances. I was at one last night and I watched these high school students and singing, and it was unbelievable at Providence Grove High School what they were doing, and then you see some of the artwork that comes in from the kids in the schools, and it's just really unbelievable. So.
Well, Dr. Gainey, as we sit here, we're about 2 days away from a holiday break, and I guess at the time that this airs, we'll actually be on our break. And we're getting into that time of the year where I know that we don't like to think about this, but inclement weather is, we won't say it's inevitable, but there's a good possibility that we're going to have to deal with something over the course of the next few months. And I know as the one who puts out information here that nothing gets replies and responses and feedback quite like weather-related things do. So could you just maybe give an overview? Again, and we've got our inclement weather video out there, but just maybe an overview of how we handle those types of situations.
Well, Tim, the first thing I would say is that we now have our inclement weather video that we produced up on the web page, and I think you put it out in social media. So
Yes, I did.
Really encourage all the parents to review that video, because it gives you some insight of what's going on with us. I love the kids in this school system. I do, and nothing pleases me more. I was 2 schools today and saw kids doing what they're doing in classes, teachers. It's great, but the first item of business when the weather arrives, if it does, and I'm going to hope I know that the students don't want to hear this, but I'd love to have a winter without any snow, but we have to be prepared to deal with it. And the first issue is safety, and somewhere in all this, it gets, sometimes I worry that people forget, but there's really, to me, 3 groups that we have to take care of and look out for their safety. Maybe not as much take care, but we got it. Safety's high on our list, and it's obviously the students, the staff members have to drive to and from campuses, and then and work sites if they work at the central office, and then we have the parent drivers and that are bringing their kids to school. We can't put people in unsafe conditions, but Tim, when we get to this situation, usually there's 3 different types of decisions have to be made. It may be the one in the morning. Are we going to school or not? And maybe you can make it into more than 3, but it's, if the weather's there, are we going to delay or are we going to cancel? Okay? And then the other one is, say we're in school and the weather arrives, are we going to release early? And I'll just tell you, I think we've said this on one of the other videos, but and probably on the weather video, the one that, all of them are tough, but we try to be very thoughtful, and we're not going to take risks with people's safety. But the one that really is maybe the hardest of all is the one of releasing early, because I worry about students going home and no one being there, especially the little students. So we work very hard for that not to happen, but it's tough on parents too. So Tim, one of the things, if we're in school and we release early, we try our best to give an hour's notice. Right. And Marty Trotter will put a message out, and we'll call we're able to call numbers, any number in the system, which includes work numbers in our database system, if we release during the day, because we want to try to reach parents any way we can, let them know that we're letting out. Now, every now and then we have a day where we don't have an hour to wait, and we have to move pretty quickly because the weather has arrived quicker than maybe anticipated, or maybe it's no one saw it coming. But it's a tough time, because we want to keep order, so we're having sound instruction. But to say that the weather cannot create some distractions, that would be inaccurate. every student in this school system knows when they're talking about a possibility of snow, and every staff member probably does too. So we just do the best we can, but the number one thing on our mind every time is safety of students, staff, and those parents who are driving students back and forth. And when I say staff, I'm including bus drivers. You know, we have to give time for them to get the buses home if we let out early, and get the bus parked and get home themselves. So we're going to do the best we can, and we're not going to take any risk.
Well, with the winter break here, it seems like a logical time to think of it as the halfway point. It's not really, not numerically, the halfway point of the year. We don't begin second semester until later in January. But there's a tendency to think of, okay, we've got this block of the year behind us, and now we're getting ready to approach the second half. So what are your thoughts as we have half of the year, so to speak, behind us, and we get ready to approach that second half? We kind of catch our breath here over the holidays, and what are some thoughts, maybe some visions, some goals, or some things you have in mind for the school district for the second part of the year?
Well, it's funny, we've arrived here. It seems like every year you get to the middle of the year quicker. I don't know what that, maybe it's because we're all becoming more familiar with each other as far as staff and all over time. But, the thing I hope we can continue to do is have good, solid days of instruction in school. And with solid days of instruction and regular days of school, that means we're able to provide the activities that the students do even after school hours. When the weather comes up, that starts interfering with, athletics and performing art events and all that. Student competitions, maybe field trips are messed up or interfered with because of the weather. But I'd hope we can continue on in the second half of the year the way I think this year has started with a sound focus on instruction. I hope we can have a quiet winter, but then I can't control the weather any more than anybody else. So we'll work with the board and with the leadership of the school system and deal with that if winter weather comes. But we have exams just around the corner for the high schools in January, and then we're going to keep moving forward. It's just Tim, probably one of the bigger things, I've said this many times, just continuing to build relationships and working on trust between our school system and this community. This community has to trust what we're doing for kids, and we have to earn that along the way. I feel like we're making progress. Are we anywhere where we need to be, or where I think we'll be years from now? We're moving in that direction, but I think as we talked about several months ago, I still believe our best days for this school system have yet to occur. And we just have tremendous staff and tremendous students and tremendous parents, and with that, that's a good recipe for success in the future.
Okay.
So I hope everybody has I do want to wish everybody, including you, a happy holiday. This is a wonderful community. I've been here now 2.5 years. Seems like I've been here for longer than that because it speaks volumes to me about the community we live in, because the way I've been treated here, my family's been treated here, is just unbelievable, and I just hope everyone enjoys their holiday break, and we'll get ready for the second half of the school year.
All right. Well, Dr. Gainey, thank you. And thank you to Randolph Communications. It has indeed been a great first half of the year. We're excited about a break coming up, but then we're equally excited about the new calendar year that's just around the corner. Thank you for this opportunity again to share with you from our school district, and we look forward to seeing you again in 2016. Thank you so much.